The Chaza from yesterday basically handled where do we know that, how do we know that, Naftali's tired. Yeah, how do we know that tefillin, that Shabbos is Lav's man tefillin? So we're trying to prove it from whether you can take it on whether you from women not being women being potter from putting on tefillin. Is that a mitzvah to say shazman gromas and not a mitzvah to say shazman gromas? So that was basically the whole daf, right? So along the way, we didn't have time to handle this on Friday. So bottom line is, what is the story with? Well, there's a few things. So first is the Toisus, right, who says based on this Gemara, right, on the Mistama, that's what Rabbaran's kasha was, right? The Toisus on the bottom of Tzadi Vav Amud Aleph, that says Mutar l'nashim levarich al kol mitzvos seishes man grama. Even though they're potter, kamay micha bashosha is a Mistama gam mevareches, right? Even right, but then Rameh and Rabbi Yehuda disagree. So whatever it is, that's the source that women. This Toisus is the source that women can't make a bracha on mitzvah to say shazman grum. Again, the Ashkenazim women do make a bracha on mitzvah to say shazman grum. That's why they make a bracha on Tia Shaifa and on Lulav and Esrig and on Sukkah, right? Then the question is, okay, so then if they're allowed to put on, if they're allowed to do mitzvah seisha zman grama, so then why are they not allowed to put on tefillin and tzitzis? So our sugi is basically tefillin, right? So, and if you look through our Gemara, it seems like there's quite a few Tanoim that hold that the women can put on tefillin, right? The Ma'aser Shulchan Aruch says, which is very interesting lashon, the Shulchan Aruch says women do not put on tefillin, and if they do, you make a macha against them, right? Which in our, well, it's interesting because in our Gemara, right, it said that what was her name again? Micha Bas Kushi, she put on tefillin, and the Chachamim didn't make a macha, right? But in Shulchan Aruch it says if a woman puts on tefillin, then you make a macha, even though it's a mitzvah seisha zman grama. Know that women are allowed to normally do mitzvah seisha zman grama.
See, Yaakov.
Yeah.
In my Gemara, I have written down next to Kush, I have Shol. Is she Shol Bas Shol HaMelech? I just wrote Shol. I don't know why. 7 years ago. I don't know.
Was she? I don't know.
Yes, it seems like David referred to Shol as the Kuchi in Tehillim.
Yeah. Yes, right. Yes.
First two words of Rashi, Bas Shol.
Yeah.
You're muted. Tzvi you're muted. You're muted.
I'm muted? That's saying on my thing. I'm muted?
Are you just talking?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you can hear
We
me
didn't
now?
hear anything.
We couldn't hear anything.
Wishful thinking.
Froze. Yeah, Rashi says it beferish that it's Bas Shol, and then he explains because Shol was from dark. What do you call it? He was dark. So maybe that's Bas Kushi. Yeah, it was from Shol. But what's interesting, and the island could take whatever they want out of this. Why is it that women are potter? Why shouldn't women put on tefillin? What's wrong? So it says because they don't know how to keep a guf naki. They don't know how to keep a guf naki. Now, what is
More
that
than men? More than men.
Yes.
We can't hear you again.
What's going on?
Is this a din in Nashon Kalas Daitasain, sort of?
I wonder because we're going to have that in Pesachim. Can you hear me yet? Can you hear me?
See, Yaakov, I don't want to say anything, but whoever's worked in an office in the city knows that women don't keep a guf naki, and I'll leave it at that.
Oh, you know what? Yeah,
that's a fact in every office. You speak to anybody who's ever worked in an office in Manhattan. That's a fact of an office.
Okay, you know what? I'm happy you're saying it because I didn't want to say it, but yes, it seemed to Shulchan Aruch is, and not because of Vestas either. Shulchan Aruch says it that they just don't keep a you have a Gemara? They don't keep a guf naki, which is very interesting. We didn't start yet, Uri. We didn't start it. We're starting from the 3 lines down on Daf Tzadi Zayin Amud Aleph. Anyways, but yes, that's what Shulchan Aruch says. Women don't keep a guf naki. However you want to say that. Yes, so Avrami, I think yes, that's going to have to do with the Gemara's in Pesachim that says a noshim daitin kala. Not that they're daitin kala. So what does it say? Atzlani is saying, right? That's what you can't be saimach on them for bedikas chametz, right? A little preview for Bez Hashem in a week or two, right? I think it's all part of the same Torah. Whatever. We're going to leave it at that.
Questions I don't know, but I'm not going to ask.
What?
I don't understand.
Okay, Naftali doesn't get it. Naftali doesn't get it. All right, fine. Yeah.
I also work in an office in Manhattan. I don't get it. So, I don't know. I work in an office in Manhattan. I don't get it.
Yeah. Okay, but anybody can private text Rabaran about it, but no. But it is that women are not necessarily, meaning in the public eye they're very neat and very clean, but in private not necessarily. Right? But we'll leave it by that. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, I don't know that, but bottom line, that's what Shulchan Aruch says. And then, but the Lamaisa, the Rashba holds that women could put on tefillin if they want. The Rashba paskins that they can put on tefillin, right? Tzitzis is a little bit more makel. Tzitzis really they can put on tefillin. Just became the minig more like kabbalistically. The minig became that they don't put on tzitzis. Yeah. Fine. Okay, so now we're 4 lines down from the top. Yeah. Yeah, we see it on Tzadi Zayin Amud Aleph.
What? I'm sorry to maybe you covered this. I'm just I did the other day on my own, so I just had a shaila. Why was there a havamin in the Gemara to say that because it's a mitzvah sasei shazman groma that women are usher in it? Meaning, like, isn't there like a thing like just who cares? It's a mitzvah sasei shazman groma. It's a rishus the whole time. Like, what's the difference if it's meaning like. It seems like the Gemara is saying like, no, they shouldn't put on tefillin because it's a mitzvah sasei shazman grama, as opposed to automatically saying it's a rishus. That seemed to be how the Gemara was playing out, at least how I learned it.
What? You're saying that the Gemara was trying to think that they should?
They should not. Like that it was an isser for them to put on tefillin because it's a mitzvah sasei shazman grama. Meaning, why is it even a shaila? Meaning, who cares if it's a mitzvah sasei shazman grama? It's a rishus. Just go on to it's a rishus the whole time. You know what I'm saying? Like
God cared because he didn't give it to them. Why didn't he give it to them as a mitzvah?
No. I know that. Meaning the Gemara is saying like, oh, what do you mean? Women can put on tefillin? Like, who cares? It's a rishus, so let them put on tefillin. What? Just because something's a mitzvah sasei shazman grama doesn't mean it's usher to them, right?
Maybe it is also for them. Maybe.
So it's a lo, but it's a nasei. A nasei can't be a lo sasei at the same time. It's one or the other.
That is that the Gemara is not learning it whether we're machmer or not, right? But we're just trying to see that if it is a mitzvah sasei shazman grama, then that's going to affect whether you wear tefillin on Shabbos or not. We were just comparing it to Shabbos. I mean, we're trying to figure out, is there a time that you're potter from tefillin, either night or Shabbos, right? If meaning men, right? So it's by saying that it's a mitzvah sasei shazman groma, that therefore we can learn out from there that there are times where men are potter from tefillin, right? Isn't that why we're learning it? What's the problem, Gershon?
No, I think he's asking more on maskana of the Gemara, the top of Tzadi Zayin. Right? The maskana is that Meir and R Yehuda both hold that women are usher to put tefillin on. If it was rishos, they would be allowed to bring it back also, zug. But it has to be usher for them. He's asking, why is it usher?
What do you mean? Why is it usher? Because it's not there. If they're potter from tefillin, then it's not a malbush to them.
No.
Can't be a malbush as a rishus?
Meaning, if it's not something that they normally wear, so then memela, it's not going to be a malbush. How could they wear it on Shabbos? It's going to be haitzah for them. No,
By the same token, somebody who doesn't put on tefillin normally, a man, can't bring them in on Shabbos?
I mean, I don't know what the case would be, but Evid, let's say an Evid, a male Evid, can you bring in the tefillin on Shabbos?
I mean, you don't have to go so far. It could just be an ice varf.
No, because he has the techieles to put on the tefillin, I would think.
It's not rogil. It's the same thing, no? Isn't if it's a din in regilus, then it's regilus.
It's or it's a din in the combination of the fact that you have shaykhs to, meaning if I never wear cufflinks and I decide one Shabbos to wear cufflinks, can I wear them on Shabbos?
Why not?
What?
It's the way people wear. So you never wear blue suits. You can't wear a blue suit on Shabbos?
No, that's a suit. It goes under the din of a suit. This is an accessory, right? And
So
I
you
don't
decide
normally wear that
to
accessory.
Yeah, but it's accepted for men to wear cufflinks.
So the same thing with the tefillin. It's accepted for a man to wear tefillin, even if this guy's an oisvarv, right? L'chayra, he has the techieles to wear the tefillin,
But not on Shabbos,
but
I thought this wasn't.
right? But not on Shabbos, right? So, you cut out Tzviakov.
cut out.
So tefillin, so Shabbos and tefillin on Shabbos, nobody has a chiyuv to wear it, right? So why can't a woman bring it in just like a man can bring it in? They both don't have a chiyuv to wear it on Shabbos.
Never has a chiyuv.
Who cares? You can't do weekday to Shabbos. What's the difference? Nobody has a chiyuv on Shabbos.
Base it on what the norm is during the weekday, right? That's what the Gemara says.
Okay, the norm during the weekday is that I'm going to cook on Shabbos. I'm going to cook. I was thinking, that's a ridiculous comparison. It's either good on Shabbos or not good on Shabbos.
Oh, what's based on what you can bring in on Shabbos is based on how you would wear it during the week, right? That's what the difference was between one pair of tefillin and two pairs of tefillin, at least according to one side of the Gemara.
Yuri, your case would be if a Yisrael found it sits in a sod on Shabbos, can he put it on his head and bring it in? Because he has no shaykhs to it.
Those tits. That's an interesting comparison, right? I wanted a Kohen Gadol's clothing. Would he be able to wear that? Well, clothing maybe, but the
Isn't that Nissa Deraisa?
Them to wear tits?
Yeah.
Is it?
I think so. Only the Kohen's allowed to wear it.
That's what I'm saying.
For a Kohen,
the Manda Omer says a woman can't put on tefillin. Can she put the tefillin on Shabbos to save it from the street? That's the comparison I'm making.
Yes, coming out that they can't, right? At least according to the Brisa. Right? The Brisa says no noshim. No, because that's not the regular. The way I understand it, I could be wrong. That's not. We only allow it the normal way you wear it, which was the dion in the Gemara, not in the previous summer.
But the normal way you wear it is not on Shabbos. You
Correct.
don't wear it on Shabbos.
Right.
So that's why I don't like. I don't think it's a comparison. You can't compare what you do during the week to what you want to do, what you can and can't do on Shabbos.
Compare it for men too, whether you're allowed to wear two pairs of tefillin or one pair.
But my point is that if a man can't wear it on Shabbos and a woman doesn't wear it ever, including Shabbos, so then their level of wearing it or not wearing it is the same on Shabbos. So the same way one's allowed to bring it in, the other should be allowed to bring it in. That's what I'm saying.
Not the same, because it's not the same. During the week, men wear it. During the week, it's regular malbush. Women don't wear it during the week, so for them, it's never a malbush. It's going to be always be a what's the lashon we used in Shabbos? A mas. What's the lashon?
Masui.
A masui. That was a lashon.
What masui you want to say?
Yeah, masui. I think that's what it was, right? Masui. Right. That's the way. That's the way I understand it. All right. Let's see. Vayta. Yeah. So the Gemara says a siman shitzi atzvi siman. Yeah. So now the Gemara does an about face. So till now we were thinking that the reason why you can't take new tefillin is because we're afraid it was a kamiyah. Right? So now the Gemara says V'hashta the Tani Yavu the Shmuel bar Rav Yitzchak Eloin Yeshanos Kol Sheyesh Ben Ritzuos. What are considered old tefillin? They have to have ritzuos umekusharis and they're tied up. Chadashos Yesh Ben Ritzuos v'loy mekusharis. New tefillin have ritzuos, but they're not tied on. Right? So again, the difference is now that the old ones just have ritzuos and there's no knots, and the chadashos have ritzuos and no knots. So the kuli amaloi tarach inish. If that's the case, then everybody holds that nobody's going to be matriach themselves. Nobody's going to make such a headache to make a kmiya that looks like tefillin, right? So what's the problem then with the old ones and the new ones? See, the new ones, you're going to have to make the knot. If it's old tefillin, it already has the knot in it. So you could just put it on your head. The new tefillin that the knot wasn't yet made, it's an issa deraisa to tie a knot on Shabbos, right? So how do you go create a knot in order to wear the tefillin on Shabbos, right? And then this whole business of people are being matriach to make kmiyas or not, we're done with that. We're not. That's not what the issue is. So Gemara says, okay, well then vinu mi'anav, so then make a bow, right? So don't tie the tefillin with a knot. Make it with a bow. So then no, it's telling you that it's useless because to make a bow on tefillin is not allowed. And Abaye says no, he disagrees with Rav Chisda, and he says that an aniva is a good knot on Shabbos, not on Shabbos, and for tefillin, right? So, and therefore it's also deraisa to make that knot on Shabbos. So therefore, that's what Rabbi Yehuda says. You're not allowed to take the new tefillin. Taima, so Gemara says,
why does it have to be worn as a mitzvah? Although the reason I'm wearing it is not to do the mitzvah.
Correct, but it has to be worn in the normal way. Maybe it has to also. It has to be worn. You can't throw on the tefillin without in the normal, without having it on in the normal derech that you would have it on during the week. That's why I understand it. No, if you're not wearing it the way you wear it during the week, so then it's a stam scam of how do you carry it, right?
I mean, if it looks like it, does it matter?
If it just looks like it, but it's not actually it, I would think that's considered a must. I would think. It's right. The same thing with that belt. Somebody asked it to me last week. It's not often you get this question. Can you make a belt? If you're out of the Erev, can you just make a belt and hang the key on it, right? So it's pashut. If you just take a string that doesn't look anything like a belt and you tie it around you and you hang a key on that, that's no good. Even though, it's a belt and it's a key, because that's not a normal way to do it. You have to actually make the key as part of the belt, right?
What if I would never conceivably wear that belt ever if I didn't have to?
What if what?
Meaning, what if
ever
that
again?
key belt,
You're never going to wear it ever again.
No, meaning the key belt, the belt itself with the key on it, right?
I'm saying you're never going to wear it ever again.
I would never want to wear that. If I didn't have to wear something like that, I never would. Right? Does that change?
Out of an Erev on Shabbos. Okay, I hear that.
or like the tie pin, with the key on it, right? Like, no, I don't want to wear that. I'm kind of stuck,
Oh, that's true. If that's considered a derech of a malbush, so then that's fine. That's fine. But it has to fit into some sort of category. So I think here too, just not tying it properly, kahalacha is not enough. So anything where it says time then even ksherim al yasi. So the reason is because a bow is considered a knot. Halav hachi univlu, but if it wouldn't be for that, then it would be able to make a bow. V'amar of Yehuda breder Rav Shmuel b'ashelis of Shvei Rav kesher shel tefillin halacha l'Moshe Misinai. Who the knot on the tefillin is halacha l'Moshe Misinai. V'amar Rav Nachman and v'nayehan levar, and the beauty of it has to be on the outside. These last two words are just brought parenthetically, meaning the shin, the way Rashi says it. The shin, right? Every tefillin has a shin on the outside. Tefillin shorosh has a shin on the outside, right? On either side has has a shin. That shin has to be facing people so that they could see it. It can't be on the inside, right? Which are you thinking? What would be the point if it's on the inside and nobody sees it? But the point is that shin has to be on the outside. That's Allah Moshe Sinai, but the main thing is that a knot has to be Allah Sinai. So how could you say that a bow is enough? So the anavlu ke'ain kshira. No, it's somewhere where you would make the bow like shein kshira like it's not. Somehow you would fix this bow that it looks like a knot. Yeah. Now, fine. Okay, so that's the end of that sugya. A fascinating sheet in the Tosfos. I don't know if the Olam is aware of this machlokes rishonim. If you look at the Tosfos, in middle of the Tosfos, Abaya Omar, and it's a good thing we don't paskin like this shita, okay? Because he says Makan Omar Rabbeinu Tam in the Tosfos Abaya Omar. Second Tosfos down, right about halfway through. Okay, it's just a fascinating shita to know, and you can breathe a sigh of relief that we don't hold with this shita. When we can Omer Rabbeinu Tam, the ain't tzarich b'chol yom lahatir kesher tefilin v'lachzer v'likshor b'shasha menichin, and you don't have to untie the knot and retie it every day. You're going to show you Omer Rabbeinu Eliyahu, right? Rabbeinu Eliyahu's shita, he was a Rishon, obviously. He held that the knot on your shel rosh and the knot on your shel yad has to be tied from scratch every day. So not only do you have to wrap your tefillin, and you have to actually undo the knots and redo them every day. Can you imagine how early you had to show up to davening if you had to do that every single day?
No, you know how to do it fast.
It would still take time.
No, there'd be a bacher. There'd be a bacher that knew how to do it good, and he'd make himself money every day.
I guess.
When
right.
I went to stove, the guy switched after put on special straps. It took him 30 seconds to take my straps.
Okay, it would be a headache. Everybody would have to do that, right? Because meaning what's his raya? What's Tosis raya? Not like Rabbeinu Eliyahu, because we're saying that the knot on the tefillin is a kesher shel kayama, so you can't tie the knot on Shabbos if it was never tied. What do you mean? According to Rabbeinu Eliyahu, you're untying it tomorrow morning, meaning a kesher shel kayama is at the minimum last 24 hours, right?
That it could last.
No, the knot lasts 24 hours. If you plan on untying, yes.
If you don't touch it, it will last
if
longer?
you plan on untying it 24 hours, it's not a kesher shel kayama, right? Okay. So good. So according to Rebbe Yo, you have to untie it every day.
Yeah, but
right? And assuming your davening takes longer than a minute, it's going to be less than 24 hours. If you daven very quickly, then
but on
maybe.
Friday you have to wait till Sunday.
What? So what? But
but
it's Shabbos.
So you're leaving the knot.
So what?
So
depends when you want to say Friday night.
Knot.
No, but the bottom line is the kavana is that it gets untied. That's the most machma sheet is 24 hours, right? But there are sheetas that say a week, whatever it is. Okay. Bottom line is, so Rabbeinu Tam is bringing a raya that from here, not like Rabbeinu Yo, which is obviously the way we paskin, right? Right. That's we paskin that we don't have to tie our tefillin from scratch every single day, right? Now there is a chumrah along those lines. Now, I don't know what the olim does with this shel yad. Punja, what do you do with shel yad? So you tie it around like this, right? Some are makbid that you don't just leave it hanging. You should tuck in the shel yad under the parts that go around your hand, because that should be a kshira. That should also be.
That's a halacha?
Not a halacha, it's a chumrah. It's a chumrah. I'm just saying it's a chumrah. They hold because if you don't do that, you haven't tied the tefillin to your arm because everything is loose. Right? Got what I'm saying?
You mean tuck it underneath the last strap? That's what
Correct.
You mean?
Correct. Meaning some people just leave it, they hold it in between their thumb.
Oh, yeah? That's annoying. The whole davening to hold it?
Finger, and then you go around here, then you just do all the extra ritzuas right around your hand.
Yeah.
Right? So some people just leave it hanging without taking the end.
Oh, that's so irritating.
Not tuck it under?
No, to leave it hanging.
I thought everybody tucks it under. Why do you want to hold it the whole time?
So now if you tuck it under, you're machmir. It's a chumrah.
I'm very machmir. Very machmir.
That's like now you wait the same thing you're a machmir.
So I picked it down. Now I'll be machmir because I never did it. So it'll be a
I wanted to do one thing in my life machmir, and I finally found it.
But now, Baruch Hashem, now when you decide you wake up in the morning, you're interested in rebelling against Hashem, so you'll stop tucking it under, right? That's all. You'll put your right foot on.
Not in the mood to be machmir today.
Correct. You let it all loose on your tefillin. Okay, but whatever it is, but the reason they say that is kshartam la'oisal yodecha, right? You're supposed to tie it. If you don't tuck it under, then it's not tied onto your arm. Okay,
tying it up here, wrapping it around the 7 times.
It's not tied up there.
You pull it.
It's not tied. It's not a knot. It's not a knot.
And around and around and around here.
It'll come out. It'll come out eventually. If you don't do that thing on the end, it'll come out. Eventually.
Plenty of people, it does come out. Plenty of people have to redo it in the middle of davening because they didn't do it tight enough and it falls off. Plenty of people it happens to.
Back then when they wore their tefillin a whole day, I'm sure you had to do something. Okay.
I don't know how the circulation worked. How'd they have circulation in their arm?
Yes, I hear it. I don't know. It's a good question. Especially when they're schlepping all the water that they had to schlep, like we saw 2 weeks ago, right? With the tefillin on. Okay.
Through the holes.
Anyways. Now we have a different din, which brings up a stickle pet peeve of mine, and but it's an interesting din. Yeah. So Amar Rav Chisda Amar Rav Halakech tefillin misha ain't mumcha. Right? If you buy your tefillin from somebody who's not a mumcha, okay. So now, really, you're supposed to buy your tefillin. That's why sometimes the tefillin they advertise that it's a cipher who's a mumcha. You buy it from a cipher mumcha, you do not have to check your tefillin. Right? Meaning when you first buy them, how do you know it's kosher? Because you buy it from a mumcha, right? So you don't know, he has a chazaka, right? Okay, we'll get back to that in a minute. But here we're talking about somebody who buys tefillin from somebody who's not a mumcha. He's like, meaning he bought it from a middleman. A guy comes to you and says, I just got a good deal on a bunch of pairs of tefillin. I'm not a cipher. I don't know anything about hilchos tefillin. I'm selling you a bunch of pairs of tefillin. So those you have to check. You have no idea what the source is of the tefillin. Right, so the Gemara is saying, what if he tells you the cipher is? Well, then you have to call the cipher and see that it's or if you trust the thing. But if you find ultimately,
today it's a much bigger problem. Today, half the cipher who say they're a cipher mumcha really added an extra ches and a hay at the end. They're really a cipher mum.
Hey, ooh, I like that line. Okay. And a chanami. So I don't know do you have to have a certificate that you're a mumcha?
Right? Open holes you check anyway today.
You have to check. Every guy has to check. Even if I buy tefillin, I have to check it.
Kadai, look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to bring it to the guy you bought it from and ask him to check it.
That means we have to have two ciphers that you have to be involved with every time you buy a pair of tefillin. One to buy it and one to check. One to bring it to check. Is that what?
It's Kadai. You're spending a lot of money. Why would you risk wasting it?
Rabbi Belsky has a letter from years ago that he wrote that you are not allowed to buy sealed tefillin in the United States. That if you go into a store and you buy tefillin that are already sealed in the bottom, you shouldn't buy them. You have to get the parshas and then have them sealed up.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So you have to see your cipher's parshas before you tell them to lock up the tefillin?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. I didn't do that. Did I do that? Did he show me the parshas? No, he didn't show me the parshas. Oh, okay, he saw it. My nephew saw it over here. His bar mitzvah 2 weeks, Bez Hashem, so he saw it. Okay, I didn't see mine. Okay, interesting. But either way, if you take your tefillin from somebody who's not a mumcha, meaning you have a bunch of pairs. So you have to check 2 of the shel yads and 1 shel rosh. And 2, meaning you have to take a sample. You have to take a sample of the tefillin that the guy is selling you on a wholesale level, and if you check 3, then it's okay. So the man of shach. If he took it all from one person, lived like either check 3 shel yads or 3 shel rosh. If it was bought from 2 or 3 people, so then kol chad echad libai bedika. Then each person needs a bedika. Why just take a random from each person's tefillin? You have to check. So we say no. You really took him from one guy. Shel yad and shel rosh are 2 different avodas. The guy has to be a mumcha in the shel yad. He has to be a mumcha in shel rosh. Right. So therefore, you have to take a sample of everything. Any, it's not true. But Tani Rabba Bashmul with tefillin baidik shalish shel yad v'shel rosh. You have to check 3 of the shel yad and the shel rosh. My love oy shalish shel yad oy shalish shel rosh. Doesn't it mean or one or the other? So you say no. Loy shalish man. It means you have to take 3 of them. Shel yad mehen. Loy shalish mehen shel yad mehen. I'm sorry. Loy shalish mehen shel yad. Mehen shel rosh, right? Either take 3 from the yad. Some of them of the yad and some of them of the shel rosh. V'atani Rav Kahana betfilin baidik shtayim shel yad v'shel rosh. Rav Kahana says you only have to be baidik 2, not 3. Hamani Rebbe, he's going with Shitas Rebbe. The Amar betray zimni havi chazaka. Rebbe held that 2 is a chazaka. So Rebbe, if it's Rebbe, aim a seifa, but the seifa says v'chein b'tzvas hasheni. It's the same thing if you have you get another shipment of a second shipment of tefillin b'chein b'tzvas hashlishi, and the same thing with the third shipment Rebbe shlishi miyislei. What does he need to do if it's from the same guy? Why does he have to check the third shipment? 2 shipments are enough, right? So Moide Rebbe B'tzavsa b'demitray tlosa gavri zaven. No, but tfasim, you have to be worried that it's coming from two or three different people. So therefore, you have to check more. If that's the case, even if you take a fourth bundle of tefillin or a fifth bundle of tefillin, so you say enochanami. That's true. And this that we said shlishi lafuke me chazake, to take it out of the chazaka. But really, you need the fourth and the fifth too, right? So really, the only reason why he said three is to say it, to take it out of chazaka, right? That's what he's saying, that you have to do three, but really it's got to be 4 and 5 too, because it could be coming from different people. Okay, so what's the pet peeve that I have from all this? So basically, you see that taking a sample of 3 things is enough, right? So now, if you get a shipment of suits, right, and you check 3 of the suits, or the store tells you, I'm telling you that I never had shotness in these suits, right? But you ask the shotness people, they say, no, you have to check. Why do you have to check? Right? What are they talking about that you have to check?
Tefillin and shotnez are the same?
Yeah, this is a din of chazaka. It's nothing to do with tefillin and shotnez. These are dinim of chazaka.
Is this the same svara they use for checking lettuce?
Exactly, that was my next thing. A lot of times you'll see from a kashrus agency that they hold that all you have to do is when you take a bag of lettuce, you check 3 leaves. If you check 3 leaves and you didn't find the bug, then you're okay, because they hold the same thing. From this particular bundle of lettuce, you check 3. Now it has a chazaka that this thing is fine, right? And others.
It doesn't matter if it's 5 leaves in the bag or 10,000. The chazaka is the same Indian. It doesn't make a difference.
Yeah. That's what we're saying here. Doesn't differentiate with how many pairs of tefillin are here, assuming that they all come from the same area. The shaila is like this: if you have, let's say, you checked 3 bags, 3 lettuces in 3 bags, does that mean that every bag in that store you're okay with? That already is not clear, because it may not come from the same source. It may be coming from different sources. I don't know if you're able to check that on the bags, but a lot of places can say that doesn't work. So the thing with the shotness is really enochanami. You don't have to check. Ramosha writes in a tshuva that it's very easy to check for shotness. So then, therefore, why not check? Right? But it's.
But what if most of the time when they check for shotness, they don't put the suit back together the way it's supposed to be?
Correct. That's the problem. That is the problem. It does end up. First, it costs, right? It costs. Second of all, that you're busting up your suit. I don't see why that's nicha to check, especially if it's a cheap suit and the chazaka is overwhelmingly that there's no shotness in it, right?
So what's the psak? Recorded.
My psak is that I'm not going until I find some big rabbis that say that you don't have to check it. Then you know what I mean. When people ask me, like, they buy a suit, they get a suit right before Shabbos and then they have time to check it, I tell them they could wear it that Shabbos and then speak to a shotness person to see whether they should check it. I don't want to be the guy to tell them that they have to check it, unless it's an expensive suit. If it's an expensive suit, then yeah. But if it's a cheap suit, what should I tell you? I could say myself, I bought a coat from Costco for $60 last year or $70. I did not check it. That's all I'll say. But I can't go. That's for myself. I can't go paskening neged. If really you pin down the rabbanim, they'll tell you, yeah, you really don't have to check it. But until somebody publicly is willing to say that, I can't take on the world. I don't want to take on the world, nor should I take on the world.
But in that situation, do you have to know that 3 coats were checked?
I believe not. No, because the baisa, it's less than a 10% chance that you even finding. What do you call it? Shotness. The thing is, that chazak of shotness is a little bit different than the tefillin, in which the tefillin you're not looking for isser in the tefillin. You're just looking to see whether the tefillin are kosher. It's a little bit of different sugya. Meaning medina chazaka, it remains the same. By checking for things, you're just trying to prove that there's nothing usser in them. Here, you just need to prove that these tefillin are kosher. You're not looking for isurim. Which brings us to the next thing, which is that now you have to check you're supposed to check your tefillin once in 7 years, and you check your mezuzahs twice in 7 years. That checking is not to see that there are mistakes. And, everybody gets carried away with somebody had tzaras, nebuch, and then they go check their mezuzahs, right? So why didn't they check the mezuzahs in the first place? It's not because like all of a sudden a letter was missing from the mezuzah. The reason why you don't have to check it in the first place is because it has a chazaka when you buy it from a mumcha that it's kosher. So why are you checking it later on? You're checking it later on for damage. You're not looking for that the original cipher was okay, because if that's the case, like Gershon was saying, you have to check it right away. Right? You're looking at it for damage, which the Chassam cipher says. Then really you could just check your mezuzahs yourself, right? Because if you're looking for damage or whatever it is, so take out your mezuzah. Look, if it looks pretty good to you, then go right ahead and put it back up, right? But then he says better to do a cipher. Says better to bring it to a. That's what he really holds Mikar Adin.
Even cipher mumchim make mistakes.
Correct, but
sometimes they don't get caught. I have a ma'isa that I saw firsthand. Someone was accused of molestation in a school, in a Jewish school. They brought his tefillin in to be checked, and in the parsha of Kadishli, it said instead of tifdeh, tifateh.
Serious?
I saw it firsthand.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Good. I'm saying that's true, but people aside from have a chazaka that they write their tefillin properly. I'm saying that's a fluke case. These things are fluke cases which happen, but that's what chazaka is supposed to take care of, right? Right? Chazaka says that you don't have to be chashish for that. Right? But enochanami, it is
I think Chazaka, in that case, Chazaka even told him that up until the point that he checked it then, he was wearing kosher tefillin, even though Metzias they were possible.
Right, Chazaka
right? Goes that far, yeah.
Yeah, that's already a whole different sugya. That's a really confusing sugya there. But anyway, so that's the story with the whole checking. Okay. Let's see. There's some motzon tvasim like krichas, right? So you find them bundled or piled up. My tvasim and my krichas. The Gemara asks, what's tvasim, what's krichas? It both means that you find them in a pile. The tefillin in a pile. So I'm Rav Yehuda, I'm Rav, hein tvasim, hein krichas. The tvasim is the same thing. They're the same thing. But tvasim is zuzi, krichas the krichin tuva. Tvasim is that it's just pairs, and in krichas it's just one big pile of tefillin. Fine. So what you have to do is the Mishnah says that you have to stay there till it gets dark, and then you bring them. Why don't you bring it zug like in the first case? It was explained to me what my father said. It doesn't mean doesn't necessarily mean what Abba, but I mean it could be it's Abba. What we said before that Abba could be a lashon chashivas, but or a father. Anyways, kol she'ilu machnisin zug. If you would bring them pairs by pairs, v'kolis kaidim shkia sachama, and you would finish bringing all the pairs in before shkia, so machnisin zug. Then enachanami you should bring it in as a pair. V'ilai, but if you won't have time for that because it's going to get dark, then mashach aleinu mavi, and then wait there till it's dark, and then bring them after Shabbos is over. So it's interesting. So in the Mishnah. Sounds like you should stay there the whole time. No, that's only option number 2. Option number 1 is to really bring it in pair by pair. Yeah. Oh, and if it's a sakana, so you just cover them over and you leave.
Is the problem with untangling the pair in Kaiter Matir?
No, I don't think so. Oh, you saw somebody says it like that?
No. Not.
It's too much. It's too much to schlep on Shabbos.
Why can't you untangle it and take out a pair?
What do you mean? You could if you have the time. That's what you should do. As long as you're right. If it's all knotted together, then you can't, right? But if you can't, then that's what you should do. On Chanami, the first step is to do zug, and if not, then to stay there. Yeah. So then it says sakana machasin v'hailach. But sakana you covered over. Vatanya v'sakana malichin pachas mi'arba amas. If it's a sakana, you go every 4 amas. You stop. Meaning pachas dalat amas is you walk. Let's say dalat amas is 6 feet. So the reason is pachas dalat amas is because you're not over for carrying Rosh Hashanah unless you carry more than 6 feet. So what you do is you carry 5.5 feet, stop, start again, 5.5 feet, stop, 5.5 feet, stop. You keep doing that. So we have a brisa that seems to say different than our Mishnah, that even b'shas sakana you can go pachas pachas. Some Rav is mitaretz, like kasha habas sakanas nachri habas sakanas listim. One is talking about if it's a sakana from goyim, right, and one is a sakana from listim is our robbers, right? So when it's from goyim, so they're going to be mavazed at tefilin. So then take them with you. Pachas b'pachas. When it's listim, right? Then they're not going to be mavazed at tefillin. So then you could just cover them over, right? It's interesting if you notice, right? The Gemara has a girs of nachri, and then Rashi doesn't change it, but Rashi's girs says oivdei glulim. So a lot of times that has to do with the censor, right? Because they didn't want to stam say they'd be scared from a goy. They didn't like that, so then they would change it to oivdei glulim. Only those that, meaning a stam a goy, we're not worried about. It's only those that bow down to the stars or whatever it is that bow down to Avodah Zarah. Okay, but anyway, so now with the differentiating what type of sakana it is. So now on Talmud Beis. So Amrle Abaya, B'mayu Kimta L'Masnisim, B'Sakana Oivdei Glulim. I hear the Gemara changes. Right, from Nachri. So what are you saying our Mishnah is talking about? The sakana of Goyim. Aim a seifa, then what's with the seifa? Of Shimon, Oimer, Noisni l'chaveira, v'chaveira l'chaveira. Right, you give it to your friend, and your friend gives it to your friend, and you make that, what do you call it? Fire brigade, Jesse, right? That's what you call it? Right, so you go, one hands it over to the other. So Kolshik, the Gemara says, Kolshikei dav shemilsa. Right? Then and that's a Kolshikain, that it's going to be, if you're worried about sakana, how could Reb Shimon say that you give it to the friend, give it to the friend? That's bound to call attention to you, right? And cause more danger. So Gemara says, no, there's something missing from the Mishnah. That's what we're talking about, which is sakana from the goyim. Sakana's listim, but if it's a sakana of robbers, then malichin pachas pachas with alaramis, because there's no big risk there. Meaning, when the goyim make a gzeira not to wear tefillin, so then you want to do this the least obvious, the least conspicuous, right? As what's the word? Conspicuous, yeah, right? As possible. But when it's just for sakana, then you just go pachas pachas with alaramis. Fine. Shimon Omer Noisel Chaveira, you give it to your friend, give it to your friend. But my kamifli, what's the machlokes? Marsov or pachas me'arba amas adif. Meaning, basically, you have two ways to do this shtick. There's two ways to do a shtick to carry. Either you could do pachas with alaramis, or you could do handing from one to the other, right? And the reason why handing from one to the other works is because, like we learned in the first Mishnah on Shabbos, two people that do a malacha is considered as if it's only a derabanan, right? So we're allowing a derabanan in desperate situations. So the question is, which derabanan is better? So Gemara says, Marsav or pachas me'arba amas adif. Carrying it less than 4 amas is better. The amrit noisin l'chaveira v'chaveira l'chaveira av shemilsa the Shabbos. Right? Because if you say giving to the friend, then it's stam, it's more of a zion for Shabbos, because everybody sees what's going on. The other one says, no, giving to your friend is better. If you're going to say take it less than 4 amas, maybe he's going to forget. And then I could see myself doing this. Instead of forgetting to stop every 6 feet or every 5.5 feet, you just forget and you continue walking like normal. So there's much bigger risk of being machal Shabbos by doing the pachas than by handing it over to friends. Okay, fine.
Why isn't there a different chiluk here? By pachas midalid, you're doing an akira and a hanaka. The chavera, you're only doing one of them. Each one is only doing one of them.
What are you saying?
By pachas midalid amos, you're doing an akira and a hanaka. It just happens to be less than dalad amos. By chavera, there's no metzias to doing both of them. You're doing one or the other.
So that's better?
Why not?
Does Akira Hananocha every Dalit Amos? It's in your hand already. You didn't pick it up.
Yeah,
only
but
the first
starting
time
and
did you pick it
stopping
up.
is an akira nanaka. Starting and stopping is an akira nanaka.
Right. Stopping is Akira Hananocha.
The Chavera, the first guy does an Akira. He's the only one that has a chance of doing a Hamaka, the Chavera. But if he takes it and puts his hands open and the other guy takes it from him, only one guy has a chance of doing an Akira and a Hamaka. Everyone else is only doing one of them.
Why? The second guy gets it from the first guy.
How does he get it? How does he get it? The first guy puts it into his hands. He doesn't have an Akira.
Well, and it depends how he does it. If you structure it that way, then you're right.
But if he does an Akira, the other guy didn't do a Hamaka. That's the first Mishnah in Shabbos.
Correct. So what do you say?
So why doesn't the Gemara go with that? That's why that should be far better. You only have one or the other.
Yeah, that's I hear. But I'm saying, so that would be a nafkamina between the two, but that two, I don't say, why is that different than what the Gemara is saying?
That goes with a different nafkamina. I would have thought that, only an Akira it's the cloud, not a carrying. That should be other from a carrying that's just less than the shear.
Right. I hear. I don't know, but okay, it doesn't sound much different than what meaning it's 2 versus 1. I hear. I don't know. I hear. Okay, I'm not sure. Okay,
We lost you, Tiago.
The talking to?
Yes.
I'm on my phone, and when a phone call comes in,
Put my phone on.
That's fine. We're almost done. Yeah, V'chein B'nai. Yeah, am I back? Yeah. Okay.
We hear you. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. V'chein B'nai, my boy Hassan. What is a baby? What's a son doing in the field? So, Tevei Menashe Tana b'sheyal dasai imay besada. The mother gave birth in the field. So Maya Filo Hain Maya, what does it mean even if it's 100 people? Da'afagav the kashale yada, even though it's difficult for the baby to be handed from person to person, this is still better. Right? Meaning it's so much this sheet to hold, it's so much better to hand than to go pachas, even if it's going to be quite annoying for the baby to go from hand to hand, still that is that's what's the better option according to this sheet. Right, so Rabbi Yehuda said, now we go into Erev Tchum stuff here. So you, not Erev Tchum, but Tchum. So Rabbi Yehuda says you can also do the same thing with a barrel. Right, to which the Mishnah asks, and what do you mean the barrel can only get to go as far as the feet of the person? But let's say Rabbi Yehuda, does Rabbi Yehuda not hold this that we learned in the Mishnah that the behem and the kalim go like the feet of the owner, right? He doesn't hold that of this halacha. So Amar Rish Lakish Levi Saba. Rish Lakish said the name of Levi Saba. A very interesting thing. He said it's not talking about where you're handing the barrel from person to person. It's talking about where you're pouring the water from one barrel to another barrel. Rabbi Yehuda l'tamei d'amar mayim ein ben mamish, and Rabbi Yehuda holds that mayim there's no mamish. Mayim has no mamish to it whatsoever. The Tanan Rabbi Yehuda poiter b'mayim b'nei she'ein ben mamish. Rabbi Yehuda says that you're a potter from water, right, of the tchum, because there's no water is just water. So memela, that water can go outside of your person's tchum, right? And where we say this, can you be yotze shalach manas with water? Right, so many poskim, if not most, say that you're not allowed to be yotze shalach manas with water, because it's water is nothing. There's no chashivas to water to give it shalach manas. I think that change.
What if it's a fancy, expensive bottle?
Same thing, like bottled water, I would say nowadays would have more chashivas. I'm wondering what Rabbi Yehuda would say nowadays that water has chashivas. So maybe he would change his din, but I don't know.
What would Rabbi Yehuda say in New York City?
Yaakov, countries go to war over water.
I guess from water sources, right?
Yeah.
Here, but they probably did that back then too.
Right, that's what
Maybe
I
he would.
understand. Yeah.
Maybe he would say, "I Gavald, you're paying money for water."
This coming week's parsha, right? All the wells.
Taka, right? Very good, very good. I guess you're well in advance of the Ma'aber Sedra.
Oh yeah, I'm smoking.
Very good, but no, okay. So you're right, Rabbi. I don't know. I would think that it has to do with that water out of food is not choshev, right? That's what I would think he's saying. Okay, what is B'nei she'ein ben mamish doesn't have any mamish to it. Umay loy sahalach zus, and then how do you understand that it doesn't go with him for the tchum? Lo yalach masha bezu. What it means, what's in it, yosim eragle abaylim, it shouldn't go in it more than it shouldn't go more than the feet of the bailim. So then he wants to ask, Rabbi Yehuda says it where the water was absorbed in a dough. Right? Really, the source for this is a Gemara in Beya. All this is a Gemara in Beya, where somebody borrows, a woman needs some ingredients to bake a challah on Yom Tov, and she borrows some salt and some water, and then she wants to take it to her tchum. So there, it's a machlokes whether she's allowed to, or do those ingredients have to go with the original owner's tchum? Right. So there, Rabbi Yehuda says that water is nothing, but the Gemara is saying, what do you mean? He only says that that's only when it gets absorbed in the dough, when you mix the water in the dough, so there's no mamish, which I don't.
Again, on Shabbos, we're talking about carrying the ingredients to be able to bake on Shabbos.
Here it would be Yom Tov, right? Because otherwise, you're out of. I mean, if you're going out of the tchum, then you're out of an eruv, right? So l'chara would be Yom Tov, right? So heichad b'liyan beisa, heichad de'isnu be'enayu mishamale, but where it's right there. Did we hear that he's saying his din? Meaning it's full. If it's regular water, did he say his din? Hashta b'kedera. Now that we say by kedera, right? Amar Yehuda loy batli beinayu. I'm sorry, loy batli by kedera. It's not batal. Beinayu batli. But when it's be'en, it's batli. The Tani Rabbi Yehuda Amar Mayim u'melech b'teila be'is. So water and salt is batal in the dough. Be'en b'dein b'kedera b'nei roitva, and it's not batal in a kedera because of the roitiv, right? Of the liquid. So you see that Rabbi Yehuda, when he says ain't by mamish, it's when it's mixed as an ingredient, not when you're schlepping a big barrel of water. So Elo Amarava, so we're going to change pshat. We're talking about where the barrel was kind of the shvisa. That means it was together with the owner at the beginning of Shabbos. We're talking about water that was not kind of shvisa. The batla chavis legabi mayim, and there the barrel becomes batal to the water, and since the water was not part of it, the owner of the barrel's tchum before Shabbos, therefore it doesn't get his tchum, and therefore the barrel becomes batal to the water. If you carry out a live person on a bed, potter afalamita, meaning you potter on the person because chaynos yezatz for something alive carries itself. Or what about the bed? The bed's dead, right? But you potter even on the mita because the bed is tafel to the person. So if you carry out, right, every food has a minimum amount of measurement that you need to take it to carry out, right? Whatever it is. But let's say you carry out less than a shear, but you carry it out in a utensil. The utensil you would think is a problem. So potter afala kli, but you potter even on the kli kli tafel. So the kli is tafel to it. So here too, the water. The assumption is we had this way back, right? That water that's moving on Shabbos never gets shvisa, right? Which is why we said you can flush toilets and use sinks on Shabbos, and that water has nothing to do with your tchum. Because moving water never is kind of shvisa. So we're talking about where there was moving water. They filled it up from the river, put it into the barrel, and since the water doesn't have a tchum, so the barrel doesn't have a tchum either. And that's why he's saying that there's no tchum issues with it. You can hand the barrel from person to person. So Master Rabbi Yosef had a kasha. Rabbi Yehuda in a shayara, in a caravan that's traveling in the midbar, so we're makel to allow this. B'shayara it sounds like only in a caravan, shaloi b'shayara loy, but not in a shayara. Elamar Rav Yosef, ki tanan navi masnisa b'shayara tanan. When did we learn the Mishnah? It's talking about a shiara. So our Mishnah is a shiara. Abai Amar, the shiara filu chavis shekanta shvisa, umayim shekanta shvisa. By a shiara, it's even a barrel that was kind of shvisa and mayim that was kind of shvisa. Shaloi b'shiyara, but if it's not a shiara, chavis shekanta shvisa, umayim shaloi kind of shvisa. But it's not a shiara, meaning it's in a city, so we're talking about a barrel that was kind of shvisa, but the water was not, which is the previous teres that we said. Rashi Omar has a different shot. Hacha b'chavis the hefker askin. We're talking about a barrel that was from hefker. Umayim the hefker askin, and the water was also hefker. Right? It wasn't part of this. Didn't belong to this guy. So my amrulai. So what does it mean amrulai? I'm sorry, Uman amrulai. Who is the one that they were talking to? Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. That's Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. The Amr cheftzei hefker kind of shvisa. He held that cheftzei hefker are kind of shvisa. Meaning, if something becomes hefker before Shabbos, you could only carry 2,000 amos from there.
Yaakov.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm if you're pressing for time. The Rashi of Karagle Habalim in the middle of the narrow lines.
Yeah.
So that's what Shaya was talking to you about. That's similar to the case. About if your Kalim could only have shvisa to where you are.
I mean, right. That's exactly right. Very good. That's exactly the case, right? You lent your stuff to somebody, and you return with the way you have it, right? Not the way it goes with you, even though you lent it to somebody else. Right, 100%. Yeah. What he's referring to is that we discussed it, I think, Friday or Thursday, whatever it was, that if you say your Kalim only go with the tchum of where you are, right? So when you go away for Shabbos and you leave stuff in your house for your neighbor to take, you can't do it because you're away for Shabbos 1,000 miles away. Your kalim are not allowed to move because they're out of your tchum, because they belong to you. Right? So how do you ever allow somebody to stay in your house on Shabbos and move things? Yeah, okay, whatever it is. Anyway, so Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, it's Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, Da'amar cheftzei hefker kain and shvisa. He holds a cheftzei hefker are kain and shvisa. My loy sahalach. So then what does it mean that it can't go more than the bailam? Right? If it's hefker. So you say, no, what it means is lo yahalchu elu, these things shouldn't go yoisem mikalim sheyesh lem bailam, more than kalim that have bailam. Meaning just like a kalim have to go with the owner, so too the hefker thing is also, it's gonna have 2,000 amos as if it had an owner. Okay, that's enough. Okay, a good tvach and a good year, everybody.
Yaakov, didn't we have with Simon and the bed where it's tuffle and the dead body on the bed with the kid?
That was to move the mace out muksa. There was the dead person. Here we're talking about live person. Right, that was to move, that was to move the dead person, so you put the baby on top of it. Right? Yeah. Yeah.
All right, with the buck.
Fine.
I get to that.
Okay, good. That's a crazy story, Gershon, you said.
Yeah, I saw it myself with my own 2 eyes.
Wow.
Now what happened?
But today, by the way, there's no chazaka on any pair of tefillin. There's no rive.
What are you saying?
Rive tefillin that come to America today are possible.
Is that so?
100%.
Yeah, easily.
I agree with Gershie 100%.
Yeah, big deal. That's big deal. How are we doing? Is that mamish? That's
yeah, but easily.
I'll tell you one better. If you walk into a Judaica store, not a cipher, you walk into a Judaica store, you for sure, I would say for sure, gonna get a puzzle tefillin. As close as you can to guaranteed.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know we had a fancy pants sofer come in Eretz Yisrael, Rabbi Sharabi, and he said we almost everyone in Yeshiva ended up getting their tefillin checked because he said once you leave it in a car that's 75 to 80 degrees, it loses its festus kashrus because of how hot it actually gets if it's a sunny day. But he was telling us that there were tons of pairs of tefillin that he's seen that literally had Garfield cartoons in them.
Yeah. It's crazy what comes in.
So I should take it home, bring it to you tomorrow. Or you want tonight?
I told the guy,
so bad, so I don't understand.
Yeah.
So
from the Judaica stores for sure. I told a guy who was going to get a pair of tefillin for his kid for a Judaica store that I would bet with him that if the tefillin were kosher, I would pay for the tefillin. If the tefillin were puzzle, then he had to go get real tefillin afterwards.
Yeah.
And what happened?
He bought real tefillin to begin with.
Yeah, I was told I needed to get a new pair of tefillin because my original tefillin were $150.
Well, that doesn't mean that's just because it was $150 doesn't mean it was bad, but the chances are
They
You
were
can
shoot
get
them.
Thiago, you
I
can
was
get tefillin
conservative, so what did it matter?
You can
Right.
get tefillin delivered in 2 days off of Amazon.com for $150. They claim they're kosher. It's not a joke, by the way. Look it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you want
It's terrible what goes on with tefillin. The
Soon as
inner
possible.
mezuzahs,
No, I'll give him.
people walk in and buy mezuzahs, don't have a clue what they're buying. They come in, I bought a mezuzah in, I won't say the name of any store, but on the main street in Bar Park, you buy a mezuzah for $30. It has to be kosher. How do you start at 70, 75? Then he tells you, to write a kosher mezuzah takes 3.5 hours, approximately 3.5, for an experienced cipher. How much do you want to pay him per hour? Would you trust a plumber that charges $5 an hour? No. But you want to charge a cipher. You want to trust the cipher.
You backed it up, right?
Right. Okay, I hear it's mamish, and there's nothing you could do about regulating this.
They try. It's a mafia here.
What's who's the mafia?
Every major cipher tefillin in America.
It's an issue of capitalism, right? If you have some guy who's willing to sell you tefillin for $150, so someone has to tell someone not to spend the $150, or else the rabbi behind the counter is believed that he's going to sell him kosher tefillin. So why spend more money when you have a guy who looks rabbinical telling you that 150 is fine?
And mine came from the Halaga Lower East Side.
Oh yeah.
They can come from anywhere. They can come from the what people consider the most hush of the places in Bar Park.
They're selling it to the conservative crowd. Who else is spending $150 and thinking they're expensive?
Yeah. But it really is. It's truly a chil Hashem what goes on in this country.
Are you going to Rabbit?
And then Eretz Yisrael doesn't go on?
Eretz Yisrael, it's your choice. Everyone knows someone who knows, one of the big ciphers, the good ciphers.
It's a lot easier in Eretz Yisrael. You're dealing a lot more directly with Sifrim than Judaica
That's
stores.
what he has.
So you can take the parshas to a Rav who knows what they're doing before they get sealed up. The cipher gives you a pair of parshas. You get the parshas checked. You look at them yourselves, and then afterwards you get them sealed up. It's not. It's you have a lot more transparency in Eretz Yisrael.
Yeah, but how do you know that the guy sealing it up is legit?
It's a valid what's it called? It's a valid point. But so you ask around. I mean, you someone that you trust uses someone that they trust. So
right, it's really a system of chavra kisley. Chavra islay. Yeah. Here, there's no such thing. You trust the brand name stores because they say we have a cipher mumcha here round the clock. And meanwhile, you have no idea what a cipher mumcha is.
So, Gershi, you made a face before when I said 70, 75 degrees. What temperature would you say would make Phil lose his Teslas cash?
So it's
knowing
hard.
that, remember, 70 degrees in the car turns into 105.
Yeah. So the question is, with heat does one thing to tefillin, cold does another. I would say in this country, cold is probably a bigger issue than heat. Heat, you would need to actually bake the tefillin for it to damage the ice. With cold,
by the way,
it can freeze ice off.
Wow.
I've checked tefillin here that got ruined from the heat.
Yeah, there.
Saying what temperatures would you say are the issue? He said about 70, 75 degrees.
It gets 110 in the summer. If you leave your
which
tefillin
means your car is 160
for a full day and 110 degrees, you better check your tefillin.
Right. So I know he said 70, 77. I think, no, it could have been somewhere between 70 and 80 degrees. I don't remember the exact numbers, but he said leaving it like that for an hour, it loses its pesticide.
It's hard to believe that.
Yeah,
Right. So maybe he's super muppet. That's why I was asking your opinion.
If he said that if you leave them below freezing point, that I would believe, because once they freeze, they can pop letters off easily if they're not brand new.
The other caveat that I would give you on all this is it depends on how good your bottom are. If you have really good bottom made with, American iris, it can withstand a whole lot more than if you have cheap bottom.
Yeah.
So maybe it's also because he was speaking in a Baal Tshuva yeshiva where most guys aren't using top of the line.
You have a lot less tolerance. If you have really cheap bottom, the leather is very thin. You have a lot less tolerance for heat and cold.
What would you think about 80 degrees outside for your average pair of tefillin, which makes it 120 in the car?
For a day? How long?
He was talking about an hour.
No, I wouldn't.
You're fine.
Yeah, you're okay.
Okay, that's why I figured I would ask.
You'd probably be okay even with cheaper bottom in 80 degrees.
Yeah.
The problem is that once you say you're okay and people start pushing, it's 102 degrees or 97 degrees so you give a thing. Okay, 85 degrees, fine. Call it 85 degrees. I hear that. It's
with cheap tefillin, you want to know issues, especially with kids, Jesse. With cheaper tefillin, even gasus bottom,
shampoo.
It's a bigger shampoo and showers are a much bigger issue than heat.
Right, that's why they always told the guys don't shower in the morning before school.
I understand. How does it get? What does it do? It penetrates through the leather?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
It's humidity basically. If you shower every day before davening and you have cheaper tefillin, even more expensive tefillin, but certainly on cheaper tefillin, it soaks the bottom of the shel reish, and then over time you're getting humidity through the leather. It's still just leather. It's not a hermetic.
So what about people
whatever.
that go to the mikvah every morning?
It's a problem. It's a problem. Yeah.
They can't put like saran wrap between. You guys could make saran wrap shower caps or tefillin if you could find a way to make it mutter.
If you have a shaved head or you're bald, then there's no moisture retained, so the Hasidim are fine going to the mikvah.
I didn't think of that.
Maybe that's why they cut their hair.
I had an issue with it. I used to go to mikvah every day, and then it was an issue.
It messed your tefillin up?
Almost. I was careful with it. I dried very carefully, and I'm bald, and it still had an issue with it.
Oh yeah. The guy that schwitzes could also have a problem.
Yeah, it's a big problem. What they should do is take off that tefillin and leave it open for 5 minutes before they put it away.
I've seen tefillin, Thiago, from guys that schwitz a lot. They get ruined.
You have to make it. You got to make some cedar, like a shoe tree cedar tefillin bottom. The cases.
You can get those silica packets. Throw some silica packets in your.
Yeah, but if you make the bottom cases, if you make them fancy and out of wood, people will buy it.
I used to shower before Shabbos. When I brought my phone to get checked, and it was like this, the bottom. I probably stopped. I stopped taking checks.
Everybody.
Fine.
Thiago, can I, on a separate side note, Yaakov wants to know if he can go to your camp.
Oh, he wants to. I can't say I can get him a discount.
Not a discount. I didn't know you were. What's it called?
You like that? I'm a Moradasra.
I know. I
finally made it.
It's the only Camp Moradasra picture without a hat and jacket or a tie.
It's to offset the shlita.
It's not very good. Are you actually going to be there every day?
It's going to be around the corner. It's in Moganav. So I said, okay, Moganav, I'll come. What do you want me to do? Daven Shachris there and hang out a little bit? Okay, Gesundheit. And Shabbos, they want me there. So that it's out of the Tchum. So you can't even make an air of Tchum. So that's a shtickler issue. So I said, 2-3 Shabbos I'll go. After that, I can't guarantee. All right.
Are your boys going?
Not to sleep. They might go for the day.
Okay.
You know, they'll scout it out like a true Stein, and they'll say, you know, let me see what's in it for me. You know what I mean? And let me see what my best option is, and who's going to stress me out the least. And that's where we're going to end up going.
All right, that's what I told Yago. I said maybe Yisrael Meir is going to go. I don't know how much hope he had in your guys showing up every day consistently.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Then my mother said, "Oh, maybe we can get some cousins to go for the day." I said, "That's the last thing this camp wants is every day from 9 to 5 an invasion of Steins who do what they want, when they want, because they want. I don't think it's gonna fly." Yeah. Anyways,
I've been joking with him that he should, for a long time, that we should make a camp in Arizona that's kind of a do-it-yourself camp. So that's what we said. He said, Mustam, if it's your camp, that's going to come out and be a do-it-yourself camp.
That's basically it. Actually, we're talking today that maybe we got to hit Arizona for Purim.
For Purim? How'd Purim come up?
I don't know, because we went to Eretz Yisrael last year. I don't think it's going to happen this year. But, you know, get away a little bit for Purim. It was a thought.
Listen, you tell me when, whatever. We still have to figure, do we still know what we're doing for December?
How can we do? I mean, we haven't come up with any options yet.
No. Well, it's because there's no flights.
Well, that's a problem. I would love to drive there, but you know what I mean? It's not Cleveland. It's not Cleveland.
You're worried about missing 2 days. That's a 3-day drive, even on the best of.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Fine.
Well, thank you.
Good work.
I
don't know. I don't think you got to speak to Peretz about that one. I don't know.
No decision yet. Okay, fine.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything.
I need a sponsor. I can't afford to come in, but I would love to.
All right.
If I could get a sponsor.
Okay. We'll work on that.
You can work on that. I'll work on my wife.
Okay. We'll have to sponsor for you and get a sponsor for something for her, and everything will be good. Yeah. All right.
Very good.
Good talk.
I get the